I can see the void between you and me. And I feel like I'm going insane. Help me, is anybody there? Save me, I'm running out of air. Calling out Mayday. Calling out Mayday. Far from the sun, beyond stars, I hear their song. They're coming closer, talking without sound, calling me home. Calling out Mayday. Calling out Mayday. Save me, I'm running out of air. I'm running out of air.
It is time for our show. Hey, how's everybody doing? I hope there's some people getting ready to come on. Not seeing anybody yet. We've had a few minutes. Hey, you like my red heart glasses? Yeah, that's kind of my new routine. I gotta fix my hair because this ain't working. Yeah, I was trying for an 80s hair, and I don't think it quite worked the way I wanted it to. Kind of. See, if I take the headphones off for a second, you can see that I used that VO5 and put my hair back like I did in the 80s. But you know, I remember in the 80s when I used to do my hair with a whole bunch of hairspray and stuff, there wasn't all this gray stuff in the way of keeping the hairspray onto the hair. I think now the gray stuff kind of keeps the hairspray from sticking. You know, it's like an adherent to it because I did my hair hours ago because I went somewhere, I went to the store, got a funny story about going to the store. Really funny story about that. But anyway, so the funny part is that I had my hair done, and just a little while ago, I was like, well, now my hair's flat. There's nothing to it. So the funny part is I wore this really cute shirt. I went and put a really cute shirt on to go to the store, and went to the store. And as I was walking out of one of the stores, I only went to like 2 places, but as I was walking out of one of the stores, I looked down at my pants. I was wearing leggings. I was wearing them earlier, and realized through COVID, all this fiasco of COVID, how, you know, we're all stuck at home for so long. And finally, and I had COVID, so I was stuck at home even longer. I haven't been out of the house much at all. And then I realized, COVID has made me stop matching my shirt and my pants together so that they both match. Hello. You know, make your clothes match. But it didn't look horrible. It didn't warrant me actually being on one of those photo things that run around with all the crazy people from Walmart. It didn't warrant that, but it still wasn't. It still wasn't good. Not, I would not normally dress that way at all. So anyway, so how is everybody's night going tonight so far? This is night number 3 of our 80s trivia. And to be honest with you, since I need some people to submit some answers and I haven't gotten that yet, so I think we're going to maybe skip doing the songs tonight so that we're going to either skip that unless some people come on. And if I can't get any people on, then we'll have to redo it to the next week. If we do it the following week, that would work. And that's fine with me. I can redo it the next week. But at the same time, I've got to have people coming on and I got to have people participating here, or I can't just give stuff away just to give it away. And we will continue to work on this. We will continue to improve and work on this. So I think in lieu of that, I am going to.
We should have an impromptu show.
Oh, okay. So my husband said that he just decided that we're going to have an impromptu show. And does that mean I'm not doing art?
Yep.
Okay. It means I'm not doing any art tonight. So I guess we're having an impromptu. What is the impromptu show?
I don't know. We're just going to talk.
Oh, we're just going to bullshit?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. Well, we did pick up our daughter from the hospital earlier, so I'm sure she would just love to just bullshit. And she's good at it too. She's very good at it.
I didn't say you had to go and be in
You're right there, which means I'm right here.
Oh no! She doesn't. She doesn't.
She doesn't get more mics up.
She doesn't get it to be out of it. Oh, so Mike, so one, we need to also move camera because that camera is just real quickly. He's going to move the camera and then we're just going to talk about some randomness.
I moved the camera originally anyways.
Oh, so that you wouldn't be in it. Oh, I was wondering because I was like, didn't we have the camera where we could see you before?
Yeah,
and I was like, did it feel like this? Not that one.
Oh, God.
Oh, wrong one. I changed it. Oh, I'm so sad now. I have to find that song now. I can't use it. I know I can't use it, but I did record. I recorded. So this is going to be an interesting angle here.
Ah, there's my foot.
It just gets my side profile. If the camera will
mic's on yet.
If the
It's not, no.
Okay, I didn't think
no,
so.
she hasn't been nice enough to go and turn our mics on yet.
Okay, your mics are on.
Is it?
Your mics are hot.
Yours is. Is mine? Okay, there's mine.
Well, headphones gotta get turned up too.
My headphones are up. Don't turn mine up anymore.
Mine is not. I'm not hearing nothing. Oh, because I think this one shouldn't be disconnected.
No, it shouldn't be disconnected. I don't know what number that is, though.
She just likes you more right now.
Well, why would I be surprised at that?
Is that one? No, there's only 2 headphones plugged in, so there's got to be. No, that one's plugged in, and that one's plugged in. I don't know what the sound is on that one. I'm sorry, people. Give us a second.
Technical difficulties.
Let me see if I can
Can you hear me?
talk.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Dad's just deaf.
My tech guy is not very good with his tech, I guess,
Well,
tonight. Well, because you just did it.
Wait,
Very
I don't have the right mic cover.
I know you have purple, and you have pink, and I have black. But that's
No,
because
I
my
need
new mic.
I need my green one. I can't-
Well, it's in the drawer.
Oh God, that means I'm gonna
Yeah.
move because I don't.
Yeah,
Real girls wear green.
real girls wear green. Is that what you said?
Yes, it is.
Oh, mine doesn't need to be that high though. Okay, so are we going to talk about a topic or anything, or?
Oh, we will. Give me just 1 second.
oh, here
Oh,
we
she's
go.
got a topic. Oh God,
That's
God help us. God help us. She has a topic.
Change the doors on me.
Oh, they're all over the place.
She's so funny. She's got to have her mic cover to
My
be
cover. Come on.
to be her color.
Oh, God.
So
Is this one even gonna fit on there? I don't think this one's gonna.
This mic seems to be a little bit turned to.
You might want to turn my mic off while I do this. It's gonna get pretty loud.
Two's on mute. Okay.
well, you have to also turn the.
Well, you don't have to. I can still hear it without it, but
Well, I can't. It's hard for people to hear it without it being on ears.
My mic cover's a little discolored. Half of it's faded. Half of it's not.
What? How did
Oh,
that
goodness.
happen? Your mic cover is different colors?
Yeah, it looks camo now. It's darker on one side than the other.
Huh.
Even better.
I
Perfect.
never had it out in the sun or anything. That's
I
interesting.
was just bright.
That's
Very
interesting.
bright child.
So, so what we gonna talk about? She's gonna talk about her wonderful experience in the hospital and how they gave her the most amazing roommate,
Okay, funny story. Okay, I do gotta tell the story.
best roommate ever.
Not the topic for today, but I'm gonna talk about it anyways. Okay, you turned me up way too loud. That's creepy. Okay, so little info about me: type 1 diabetic, 22. It's not a dating profile. Don't ask. So happily engaged. So don't ask. So I ended up going to the hospital. I was sick about a week ago. Ended up going into the hospital because diabetic issues.
I did not give her COVID.
No, I've actually been
Just
tested
clarifying.
4 different times and still have
Just
not gotten
clarifying.
COVID.
I did not give her COVID.
She did not.
I tried hard.
Thanks. Yeah, she tried killing me. Great. So call me Cinderella. So
Fucking rat.
oh my God, you're so wrong. Okay, so I ended up getting put in the hospital. Not gonna say which one, but a lovely one here in Nevada, and great staff, fantastic. Was in the ER for a little bit. They finally put me up in my room. This is the first time I've ever been in the hospital and I've had to share a room, right? So I was like, okay, it'll be okay.
Yeah, we usually put her in the executive suites.
Oh yeah, I always get top class. My charm is just unbeatable. So I get put in here and I think everything's gonna be fine. She's a diabetic as well, and this lady, she found out she's 60. Not a problem. Doesn't look like it, no problems. And everything was cool for the first probably about 10 hours. I was in for a little bit over 24. And all of a sudden, I start hearing these noises.
Thought you were in for like a little over 48.
I wasn't in the room.
Oh,
For more
okay.
You
You
weren't
weren't in that room.
I was in the
You were
ER
in
for
the
about 18
hospital.
hours.
Yeah, you were in the hospital because I was like 24. I think you were there for like 2.5 days.
No, I was actually in for just shy of 48. Just shy of 48 hours.
Okay. 2
But
days.
I was only in the actual ICU for a little over 24, something like that. Whatever. Logistics, who cares? So this lady is super sweet, super nice, a very spiritual type. She can read you when she sees you. She just knows about people. And so she's diabetic and she starts chatting me up a little bit. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm really tired, but this is cool. Got to get all my blood work done. And apparently she had surgery recently at this hospital. Went great. Well, she had to come back in to get gallstones removed. apparently things didn't go right. So this woman, bless her heart,
Might as well just go lay an egg. Bless your heart.
oh wow. She started thinking the hospital was plotting against her.
Ooh. Were they going to give her the COVID vaccine with the tracking device?
No, they wanted to take part of her body.
Oh, okay.
They were trying to do something to her body, and she wasn't sure what. And this lady has a bag because they had to drain her kidney, so she literally has a bag of blood attached to her. So it's already a little unnerving when she
Good
walks
thing you're
by.
queasy.
Yeah, and I'm there for nausea, so I'm like, okay, this is an awesome freaking thing. Yeah, and they dumped the blood in the toilet that I was using, which freaked me out even more. So I don't know. Okay, they're doing finger pointing. I don't know what's going on, so I'm just gonna keep talking. But so this lady basically said that the hospital was trying to go against her, and she called her family, and ended up actually calling the legal department of the people who did the surgery, trying to figure out what was going on. And it was just basically, for me waiting to get discharged, it was quite not the best topic to listen to, because all I'm thinking is, so they want this part of a woman, what are they gonna do to me? Luckily my discharge papers came in. She kept trying to talk to me as I'm leaving, and I'm just trying to get in the wheelchair as fast as I can, and she just says, you're gonna have a wonderful holiday. And I'm like, how do you know that? She's like, I can just read you. And that was pretty much I'm pretty sure that something happened that I don't want to know. And that is probably the weirdest hospital experience I've ever had. So
wait, when you were dealing with that, were there little tricks that you did to like try to know what was happening?
Okay, so of course my generation, I'm technically Gen Z, don't put it against me. I'm really close to millennial. I'm like right there. I'm the older one, so I'm not young enough to eat Tide Pods, but I'm not old enough to have a pet rock either.
Hey.
Oh, I'm not eating no Tide Pods.
I still have my bloody pet rock, okay?
I bet you do. So yeah. So of course I'm on my phone watching my show on Hulu and everything, and every time she would start going off, I would pause my show, but I'd keep my headphones in, so she didn't realize that I was listening to what was going on, because it was actually more entertaining to listen to her try to talk with the staff and her like accusing the staff than it was to watch my actual show. And if it means anything, I got 3 seasons done of a show while I was in the hospital, so you can tell I was pretty dedicated to it. So the fact that I paused it for that, you know it had to be good.
So what you're saying is you apparently that camera is gone. I did like where you had it, so I was whatever. He's just gonna switch it completely up.
This is a complete impromptu. I mean, we're changing cameras, changing mics, changing headphones.
Yeah. I thought when you said that you were saying you were gonna put the third camera on, because
I can't. It won't work.
Okay.
I have to go get one out of there to get.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'm just happy I showered before this. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, I just realized I'm still wearing my medical band. Oh yeah.
I'm actually really glad you showered before this.
Yeah, I smell bad.
Because the one thing that Steve did not bring me for my show tonight was Santa's Little Helper. I think I should drink out of this glass, even though that's one of the ones I'm selling or giving away.
You gotta drink out of one of your beach Santa ones.
Yeah, I don't have one of my beach Santa ones in here.
Yeah, I know, because they're awesome, and that's what you should drink out of.
It's actually next to the sink because I was a good girl and I washed it. And she's proud of me. So anyway, what you were saying is that you were violating HIPAA laws with your headset.
Technically, there was a room divider up, so I technically was not violating HIPAA laws.
Well, they were actually the nurse would be, because they were talking loud enough for you to hear it in the first place.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's always the blame game. And when it comes to hospitals...
And also, when the lady started talking to me about it, because she did ask me, and she told me that the hospital was trying to kill me with my insulin. She did say that too right before I left. Technically, she's
they're just going to put the tracking device in your insulin. Remember that.
Oh, yeah.
That way they know where you're at. So you don't need to worry about necessarily the COVID vaccine, because if they're going to do that, they're just going to put it in any damn thing we get. Next time you go to Walgreens to get your codeine filled cough syrup, remember it might have a tracking device in it, because you know what they're going to do is they're going to have the number on it is going to be attached to the codeine. And then it's going to go in the cold medicine. It's going to be that cold medicine has a tracker because it's a codeine, right? So it's a controlled substance. So it's going to have a number on it, which is attached to the patient's name. And then you're going to take it as soon as it's ingested, it activates, right? Then it's going to embed itself in your stomach lining, and then it's going to stay there. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because the people if you don't want to take the vaccine because you don't want to take the vaccine, like I don't want to take that vaccine.
I don't.
And the reason I don't want to take that vaccine is I'm already autoimmune.
Exactly.
If I take the flu vaccine, I didn't see. Yeah. Is that camera 1 or camera?
One.
Okay, camera 1. Let me check camera 1. Oh, that's good. That way we all are in the camera now.
Still got a little bit of the extra stuff, but you know.
Well, I figured since it was my show, maybe I shouldn't have to just do a side profile, is all. But anyway, so and then
I was gonna work on my computer, but I guess that's out for right now.
For right now, okay. You can't. You got to back up just a hair. Let me move this.
I can't.
No, I mean, like, come this way. No, don't back. Come this way. Come this way. Oh, there's a duck under his foot. Okay, come this way. The reason why is because when you have your mic that way, if you could put your mic this way just a little bit. There you go. That's better. Oh, no, I want you to be able to hear.
It doesn't work.
It does.
Put it
just
backwards.
tested it.
Too short.
Put it backwards. Like I have mine backwards because it gives you a little extra length. And I did say, come this away.
What? Knock over the...
You're not going to knock it over. Just don't whack into it.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Hey, you're the one that said...
Thank God I'm not in the middle.
I had a planned show. Okay. I had a planned show. I had prepared for. I have paint now in little containers, and luckily I only got a chance to mix 2 colors so far. So I was going to do the rest of the mixing since I wasn't going to do the trivia tonight, because we can't do trivia when we don't have enough people on
like
as
you said,
contestants.
Like you said, the whole thing is,
I mean,
you're
giving away really cool stuff, or
you're doing the incentive to go and help build your followers. And you can't just give away to nobody. So
yeah, I just don't want to just give it away.
That doesn't work.
Exactly.
Give away the farm. So although I have to tell you guys, so today I apologize. I usually don't wear my tank top on the show, but I kind of have to tonight because I am hot.
Well, there's also 3 people in here.
Yeah, and
3 people, 2 dogs.
It gets warm when there's
the third
this
dog
many
in here.
people in there. So I apologize, but I am taking off my sweatshirt. But
Striptease.
where's that music? That's not really striptease
No,
music.
that's not quite.
Not quite. Today I was just scrolling through Facebook, and the Reno Tahoe community group had a lady who posted on there that their family has suffered pretty hard during COVID. Now, not like we can't relate. My whole company has been shut down. I've lost my business that I've had since 1999, and I own everything. I don't owe any money out to anybody except for a little bit of credit card bills. And I'm telling you, my credit card bills for the company is like less than $1,000. and I own everything that goes to it, but I own a wedding event planning business. So that's why I'm doing this now, because I'm comedic. I do a comedy show. I do stand-up. So I can't go do stand-up. Yes, that is my character over there. For those of you who actually know me, know I am Lady Knockers, but for the people on the stage, usually they have no idea when I'm like, hello, thank you so much. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. It was great. I had a great time. Cheers. I'm from California. And they usually go like, holy shit. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. So, but we've had our fair share. Got COVID. My husband actually ended up in the hospital with sepsis on top of it. You were sick several times. I think I gave it to you, but I think we thought for sure she had it. But I think maybe she has the antibodies.
Yeah.
Because they did multiple tests.
But I think it
it
attacked your diabetes more than anything else, and I think you had enough stuff in there to fight it off or whatever. But her symptoms were so close to mine. Now I had it pretty bad. You know, I couldn't. This whole thing, the crack up is to me like when I talked to the county, and they were like, "Okay, so you need to isolate yourself." First of all, I called. I didn't go to work. I didn't go do anything. I didn't leave the house the minute I felt sick. And that was, I can't remember what date. But anyway, I didn't leave the house again. I called immediately to get tested. It took over a week to get in to get tested. Then it took over a week to get the results back. By then, it's the 2-week time frame is really already up. But it took me 7 weeks to get over it. While I was going through it, I mean, I was so bad, my husband would have to pick me up and help carry me to get me in the bathroom and stuff. And these people, when they call you on the phone, they're like, hey, don't share your bathroom and preferably eat in a different eating facility. I'm like, what? Do I have Pelosi's house?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we have a place that's so big that you have all this room to
move
around.
I'll just tell my staff to stay out of my suite and have the butler bring the food to my door and ring the bell. And I'll have my little troll that, lives under my bed go fetch it for me, me. But I mean, none of us I couldn't do anything. I needed the help of my husband. So, their philosophy of how to deal with it, plus they're a day late and $1 short. I mean, I'm not going to say, well, there's only one person watching, and it's probably one of us. But technically by the county, I'm still not cleared to leave my house. And it's been like almost 9 weeks.
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
And I'm still technically not supposed to leave the house till you're cleared. And so I mean that's part of it that kind of bothers me about how they dealt with that. But anyway, back to the person on Facebook. They were talking about the fact that they had a rough time through this event, and that she wasn't concerned about herself or herself or anyone else in the family. They were just concerned about their 12-year-old son, her 12-year-old son, who basically wasn't going to be able to have any Christmas presents. And not being able to have any Christmas presents, I think that makes it a little bit rough. I mean, you when you're 12, you don't understand.
Yeah,
COVID happened. Like, we already understand we're not buying each other anything. We had to actually ask people to help us with our bills this last month, and we've never had to do that. So we're making each other something. That's the deal we came up with. We will make each other a gift, and we're not going to, if I get some work and get stuff start happening, then we can do a late Christmas in February or March or something.
Yep.
But anyway, so she posted that, and I was doing the drawing for the rocking chair and the erector set that we had gotten for Cameron several years ago, and he just never really got into it. I think he played with it for all of 5 minutes, and then it all went back in the box. And it's like a suitcase that it comes in. So all the pieces are there. The book's even there. I mean, the book doesn't even look opened. So, I mean, it definitely has everything. And anyway, she had posted anything that people could do to help cheer him up, because it's going to be hard on him. And so I sent her a message and said, hey, I have this erector set. I would love to give it to him for Christmas, since really our drawing is kind of at a draw. But, I would be happy to do that. And then talking to her more, she's in a wheelchair, and her 16-year-old daughter is, she had cancer when she was little, like to the point that she sent me pictures of her when she was little with no hair and going through chemo and stuff. And she's 16 now, and she looks amazing, and her hair is beautiful. But because of her past, of course, the doctors are like, don't go anywhere, don't leave. And they don't have the means. She doesn't drive because she's in a wheelchair. So I was like, well, I would be happy to go and give him the erector set. And I'm probably going to put a little basket together for them. And, not just that, but it makes you, I think the moral of it is there's been some bad things with COVID, in my opinion. And I think I have my back to the camera, but there's been some bad things with COVID and stuff. But at the same time, I think some things have been good because of it. Bad, but good. It's 8:33.
No, I want him to get a timer.
Oh,
on his phone or something.
Oh, yeah. For how long I talk and don't take a breath?
No, because I have a way to make this a really funny, light subject after this.
Oh, good. Okay. Good. So let me finish this, and then you can make it much lighter. So, I mean, the good things is some of the businesses have become more efficient. I'm trying to find the silver lining.
Yes, there's definitely quite a few that have become more efficient. The number one that has not is McDonald's. I swear they've gotten slower. But everybody else is a lot more efficient. I mean, I've Fritzen.
Oh,
Fritzen.
Okay. So as you were saying, yeah. So some of them have gotten more efficient, and like taking your dog to the vet. That was.
Oh my God! Yeah, you literally just pull up. They come. They ask what your name is. They take your dog. Go in. You get out.
You sit in your car. You don't even have to move, and they're quick to it. Man,
they're so fast.
The waiting room's a whole lot faster than when you go to the vet normally, and you're like, okay, my appointment was like 45 minutes ago, and I haven't even been called back there for my dog yet. And you're fighting your dog off of the rest of the dogs in there. He's trying to mate with Sally, and
then you got the parakeet in the corner that's going crazy. Yep.
And there's a cat in the cage going. Because she's never seen so many dogs in her life, and so there is that, and some of the businesses, like I'm not gonna lie, I mean, if you wanted to order something from like Walmart or Office Depot or Home Depot or something like that, you wanted to pick it up, there was a fee for that.
And now there's not.
So you can order anything, and as long as you can't really do it last minute. You got to order it a day or two ahead. But you drive right into the parking lot and.
Yeah, I've done grocery pickup twice, and it's actually really convenient, and it's really easy to do. And the fact that there is no fee, I mean, you have to order X amount or more, but it's just like, doing the free shipping online for Amazon. Any of them.
Now, like Office Depot, I've ordered just one thing on the same day. Within 2 hours, I got the text saying your order is ready, ran over to Office Depot, and they brought it out to my car. I opened the trunk, and they just put it in the trunk and shut the trunk for me, and off I drove. So there are some benefits. Now, it's really hard for me to do that for a wedding.
Yeah. I mean, if you were in Vegas, you'd be okay. They already have the drive-through chapels. Yeah. It's already preset, but
yeah. I mean, I bet
they're making bank right now.
That's probably the only place that, I mean, so there's some businesses that have done really well, and some that, I mean, Amazon is through the roof.
No, it's ridiculous how much Amazon's made in this pandemic.
But the other thing
Crazy.
is, like, a lot of people are following shows like mine where we do art and do crafting, and they're learning how to make stuff and selling it themselves. And I've been doing that for years. And
I know a lot more traffic has picked up on Etsy, Pinterest, things like that. People are making homemade decor things. DIY is huge. It always has been. But right now, with all the excess time that people have, people are renovating anything and everything, refurbishing all of that. And I think it's actually kind of nice, especially for, like, I know down in Galveston after they got hit in Ike 2008, I've seen a lot more people are actually trying to fix things that have been damaged for years because they find they have the time now. It's not, I mean, it's kind of sad that it takes a pandemic for people to actually go back and get the beauty back into things, but it's also nice.
Or find family again.
And that was the other thing, is a lot of people, I think, have finally gotten kind of family traditions and values kind of coming back. I know, I mean, since I've been here, I moved out here back in June. Haven't spent a ton of time recently because of opposite work schedules and the whole illnesses and everything, but we were doing family dinners. But we do try to set that time aside to make sure that no matter how busy anybody gets, that we understand that the people we have in our life are there for us, and those are the only people you can truly rely on, especially in a time like this, in an extreme time of need. And I've been lucky enough to be into a home that has really cared, helped me flourish as much as they can, and has allowed me to be myself while also being that support system without being a controlling support system, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've been very blessed and very lucky, especially in this time of uncertainty, because that's what it is. We don't know when this is going to end, and all you can do is take it day by day and enjoy what you have. And
it's going to end when Trump wins in court. Maybe.
It's going to end when a civil war hits.
Well,
Let's not get on that topic this time. We'll do that tomorrow.
That may be part of when Trump wins.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's a little bit of.
Okay, so I thought this would be funny because we've got two different generations sitting here right now. Two completely different generations. So I thought it would be funny to look up the most basic debate topics possible. And I want us to get a minute per topic and see how different the views are. So we'll pick a topic. Y'all can go first, say your side of it, and then I'll debate back.
Okay, so we each get 1 minute?
Your side gets 1 minute, I get 1 minute.
Oh, no. We each get 1 minute.
Everybody gets 30 seconds then. Let's do that. 30 seconds, because if we do a minute... Okay.
30 seconds isn't very long.
I know, but that's why it's a fast debate.
Okay.
This also got a wheel, dude.
Oh, it's a speed debate?
Oh, it's a speed debate.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Okay, let's go.
You ready? Okay.
Who's first?
You are.
You said 30 seconds?
Ready? Winter is better than summer. Yes or no?
Well, the reason I think winter is better than summer is because of the snow, skiing, and Christmas, and the decorations, and how we get to put some amazing decorations on our yard right now. They're flashing and they're to music, and I've got my all my Christmas decorations in the house, and it just brings joy, and it makes people start thinking about giving and being generous of heart as well as of pocket.
Okie dokies. Not too bad, not too bad. Okay, I'm going to take this next 30 seconds while Dad's being weird. So for me, because I have to be the a-hole in this, so for me, summer is definitely better than winter. The reason I say summer is better than winter, one, I hate shoveling snow. Okay, I can't handle it, and the fact that my dog wants to be outside all the time, and I don't have a doggy door, so my door's open when it's 30 degrees out, so it doesn't matter how much I heat my house, it gets cold because she will not come back inside. Yeah, winter sucks. And also, summer, even though I'm paler than a ghost, I can at least attempt to be a normal human being and get some sort of sunlight.
The rebuttal I would have to that is
nope,
it hasn't snowed enough to
you don't get it.
Yeah,
30
it
seconds,
still hasn't snowed enough.
You haven't shoveled in how many years? How long? When's the last time you shoveled?
10 years ago.
So that's the number one about shoveling, okay?
And since Dad always has everything shoveled before any of us get up, we never have to shovel.
Anyways,
I get home before he gets up.
I'll be honest. I'm actually in the middle. I don't care. I like both.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's really what I was going to say, because I mean, in the summer we have our boat, we can go out on the lake. We are camping fools. We love to camp. So in reality, I mean, I'm actually with him too. I love both.
Okay. Yeah, still I'm going to say summer. Okay. Here's a good one. Ready?
Can you do anything with your mic so that it's not like I can't see her at all?
You don't need to see me. This is a debate. It's all about your verbal skills. Oh, God. Okay.
There, that's at least a little bit better, so I can at least see her funny face when she's making facial expressions at me, that because she does. She gives me facial expressions, and it's you know how hard it is to see those just from right here, because it's not just there. No, it's all good now. I can see her perfectly clear. Okay, next one.
Ready?
You got to read it first.
Students should not wear school uniforms.
Okay, so there's two areas of that I agree and disagree with. The part about, because I went to boarding school, and the part about having uniforms is you can hide your financial aspect of your life. All of you are the same. The one that can afford Gucci can't rub it in your face that you can't afford Gucci. The other aspect of it, and I'm just going to go really quick to finish. The other aspect of it is it keeps you from having a personality. So you can't express your own personality if you're forced to wear a uniform. So there's a positive and a negative, I think, to both.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here. School uniforms. I understand the part about, you aren't going to sit there and rub this in versus that. You hide, layers of society where you may reside. However, at the same time, I think about uniforms when you talked about military and stuff like that. And when you have the ROTCs and stuff like that in the schools, you stand out. You have pride. You have that. So when it's a military uniform,
I think that's different though. Uniforms for being in a club or a group versus school uniforms.
Cool. So I actually did have school uniforms when I first started out. We were required to either wear polos, button-ups, or turtlenecks. And I promise you, I would love to say that you couldn't tell the difference between brands, but you definitely could. You could definitely tell if somebody was wearing a Walmart polo or if somebody was wearing an Aeropostale. Didn't matter. People did not care because your backpacks, all of it. So really, it almost made it worse. I was also called sir for the first 2 weeks of high school because I was not a very developed girl. I had short hair and I had to wear a polo. So for me, school uniforms actually made it a lot more difficult, especially for me and my friends. I was an ROTC, but school uniforms just...
And you know what? I've seen this in so many different schools, and I don't think it's alleviate. That's why I said that
it creates cliques.
You can have the positive or negatives, because the rich kids' parents hang out with the rich kids' parents. So the rich kids all know who the rich kids are. Yep. So they're all going to hang out together.
Yep.
So, and they know who the poor kid is at their church, because they know that that's the family that we all have to get together. And my mom makes me make whatever. And we have to take that food to their house every, holiday or whatever, because we already know that family's poor. So they, and the geeks are still going to be geeks and the nerds are still going to be nerds. And I don't know if there's a difference between geeks and nerds.
Oh my God. Yes, there is.
That's a whole other debate.
Oh my God. That is such a huge debate.
Next.
Okay, cool. So we're going to bring a little bit of a cultural differences here. Bubbler or water fountain?
Bubbler or water fountain?
I'm from
This is definitely
Wisconsin.
us versus
I'm from Wisconsin. It's a
versus Tahoe
bubbler.
over here.
It's a bubbler.
It's a bubbler.
So some people in
It's
the
just like-
military call it scuttlebutt,
Yep.
which is also
It's a scuttlebutt.
known
That's
as
a Navy. That's a Navy term.
scuttlebutt is also
I was
like
in the
gossip.
Army. It was called a canteen.
Oh my gosh, because you guys apparently didn't have running water. No, that actually did happen to me. Whenever we first moved down to Texas, I went up and asked somebody where the bubbler was, and somebody seriously was like, "What is wrong with you?" And I said, "That thing." And they're like, "What is that?" I said, "It's a bubbler."
It's a bubbler.
So if you knew where it was, why'd you ask?
Because I didn't know at first until somebody moved, and I was like, "Oh, it's that." So, yeah, that's definitely a northern Midwest thing, calling it a bubbler.
Oh, there's so many.
That's just like soda,
so many.
pop. You know,
I've called it pop a couple times. Biggest thing in Texas, in the South, you say I want a soda, they say, okay, you want a Coke. And being diabetic, you say, no, I want a Diet Sprite. So you want a Coke? No, I want a and then you finally realize they're talking about the same thing. They just
Or
don't
pop.
know. Yeah, I try not to use that so much.
And then you get into the older generation, and depending on where they're from, it's soda pop.
Oh yeah, that's
Like my
soda
mom
pop,
would
yep.
probably say soda pop.
I mean, I used to call it pop all the time. I very rarely still don't really call it Coke. Usually it's either soda or pop. The other one, Buggy
When I
or
say
Cart.
Coke, I mean, oh, I'm sorry, but that's a different show. I've never done that in my life.
well,
Actually.
the thing I like using the pop because you sit there and
It's classic.
when you're a kid, it's pop. When you're an adult, it's a barley pop. know?
See, now when I was growing up, we called my dad Pops. So
Yeah. The other one is a big one, shopping cart or a buggy.
it's a buggy. But
See,
that's because I do the British thing.
Yeah,
Or a
that's the
trolley.
British
but
thing.
in
Or
the
a
South they
trolley.
call it a buggy.
Yep.
They actually
Or-
call it
or-
a buggy run,
yeah.
and I'm like, what in the world is a buggy? And I've always known of it as a shopping cart, a
It's a
cart.
basket.
I've
or a
always
cart.
I've
yeah.
always called it either a trolley or a buggy.
Okay, and the topic that I've been wanting to talk about all day that I think is just absolutely hilarious.
No, you cannot get your virginity back no matter how hard you try.
technically,
Oh, that's not the one you wanted?
technically they say every 7 months.
Yeah.
If you don't have sex for 7 months, everything grows back.
I think that's called a mental thing because you're like, oh shit, I actually did like that. I forgot all about how that works.
Oh my god. But no. The big thing that I have an issue with at work now, if I were to call somebody sir or ma'am, everybody says that it's about age. What is y'all's topic on that?
It's respect.
It's respect. Well, I mean,
And put it
but,
this way.
but
Okay.
then both of us were in the military and we
Right.
were like, it was drilled into us that it's ma'am and sir. And I mean, if somebody calls me ma'am that I don't know at the store or whatever, I still will turn around and go, don't call me ma'am. I work for a living.
Right? I mean,
Yeah,
because
well,
there was the
mean-
difference, officer, enlisted, and everything else with the military. And of course, as an enlisted, that was always the standard joke for the longest time. No, don't call me sir. I work for a living. But at the same time, it is a respect thing. I mean, I've got the bosses that I work for, and one of them did a short stint in the Air Force. Another one is retired out of the Army, and it was a reserve, an active reserve side, or active guard side, and the other one, the other one that I had to deal with was never in the military at all. I had the hardest time in the world saying "sir" to the one that was never in the military.
You had a hardest time or he didn't?
I do. I have
Oh,
the hardest
okay.
time just because
You feel like he didn't earn it. Is that
respect is earned, and sir or ma'am to this day,
now at the
my-
same time? How was his work ethics though? Was that part of it?
I think so. Nothing has been done to show me that has been earned.
That he's earned the respect.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, once in a while, I'll throw it out there more out of
A quick courtesy.
a quick courtesy to the position. But my main boss, female, ma'am. Anytime I'm sending an email, I'm sending just a message, we use Teams to
Holy
communicate
cow!
a lot.
Holy cow! The
It's-
other day,
It's ma'am all the
he
time,
was
constantly.
on a conference call with her. I guess I don't know if there was other people on it or not, but I was sitting over here, and I kid you not, I went, and I started counting how many times he said "ma'am" in like 15 minutes. It was like 37 times he said "ma'am." Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes,
See,
ma'am.
well, the thing
I was
is,
like, holy cow!
the reason I ask is because I've also noticed that actually is very much
And it's very Southern.
It is a very Southern thing, because being raised the first half of my life mostly in the North, mostly Wisconsin, we were taught if it's a close friend of
And
the
then you
parents,
got screwed up because you went to Hawaii and you're like, yo, dude.
Just thank God I don't remember much of that. No, because
oh, that's true.
what you would do is if it was a close friend of the family, it would be Miss or Mr. and their first name. If they weren't close with the family, but you knew of them via acquaintance, teacher, such as that, it would be Miss or Mr. their last name. But usually if you said yes, sir, yes, ma'am, it was more of a snide comment. Well, yes, sir. You just didn't really say it. It was very uncommon to say sir or ma'am because
in the
was
Midwest?
In the Midwest.
Okay.
But when I got down to Texas, it's very rude to say Miss or Mr. their first name,
like,
unless you're on a first name basis with them, you personally.
So is it correct that I understand that, like, when you're in the Midwest, if you are calling somebody, like your first name's Mackenzie, if I were younger than you and I was like, Miss Mackenzie, you are closer to the family because it was Miss first name rather than Miss last name.
So, like, if we were, like, say my mom and your mom were friends and you came over and you were going to talk to my mom, it would be Miss and then her first name. But if it's something more like
Miss Sally here.
Yeah, exactly. And then, because normally if you use last names, it was more of a distance. It was an
So that's even
thing.
like friends to each other?
No. Now, no. It's more of when you're showing respect to an elder. So if it's a teacher, an older friend, like if you had a babysitter, you would say Miss Mackenzie.
Okay.
But if you're the same generational, it would usually just be a first name basis. But like teachers, it was always, even if they were married,
or if
half
you were
the time you would say
speaking about
Miss.
or if you were speaking about them in third
Yes.
person to a minor. Okay.
Yep. So anytime it was some sort of like some sort of authoritarian role, you'd always use Miss or Mr. And then like I said, if you didn't really know them on first name basis, say it's your principal, say it's some other teacher that you don't have, you would say their last name.
Right.
But normally if it was your teacher, you'd say the first name because you're on a closer relationship.
Like even in my family, like my grandmother was grandma.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we called her. We called her grandma. And if we introduced her to people, it was, this is my grandma Leona, or this is my grandma Gillespie. It depended on the person, but my mom would literally come unglued if you were to refer to someone as her.
Wow.
Like it's impolite to
use
say
like a pronoun instead of the
third-
actual.
use a
third person.
pronoun
To
in
use a
third
third
person
person.
pronoun instead of hey, grandma went to the store. It was considered rude to say she went to the store. Who's she? My mom would go, who's she? Well,
See,
grandma.
for us, it was more once you've stated who you're talking about, then you're fine. Of course, you start out with the noun originally. Like the big.
Well, now this would be like if we were all in the same room, and I was like, she went to the store.
Oh yeah,
and you're literally pointing at her.
No,
so
I think my mom did that a couple of times,
and it was
she'd be like, "Who?" to verify.
Like, and it was to my mom, it was very much a disrespect if you referred to them as a she or her, unless, like you said, you've already established, the beginning of a sentence. Proper grammar is the beginning of the sentence. You use a name and then you refer to that person.
Mom went to the store today. She bought this.
Right.
Yeah. Versus, well, she just went to the store and she got. Well, who is she?
Yeah.
I think the weirdest thing, and my mom still does it. Anytime she ever met any of my friends, she would always say, "Hi, I'm Miss Danny." she would never say her last name. The only time she did that was whenever I was in ROTC, but she would always introduce herself as Miss and her first name. And it was one of the weirdest things to me ever because I never understood that because of the fact that I split literally right in the middle of my years of learning. We literally moved there in 7th grade. So literally halfway through my schooling, everything switched to me. So whenever I got older, I didn't understand that because whenever I'd meet anybody else, my first instinct was always to say Mr. or Mrs. their last name until they told me, oh, you can call me this. And I still do it. I still have one of my friends, Gail. She's an amazing girl.
I know.
I still say Miss LeBlanc.
I was the same way. And the reason for it is because Mrs. Colvin was my mother. So for your mom, when you hear the last name, or even though it wasn't the same last name, it's like the elder is my mom. When you go to the Miss first name, Miss Tori or Miss Victoria or Miss Vicky, it's you're bringing yourself a little bit closer to their generation.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of being the old lady.
And
when you're by that last
I have another
name,
question for you, which is actually very befitting because I'm curious about it. So you have remarried, so of course your son does not always have the same last name as you.
Right.
Talk about Shane.
Yeah.
Did you ever have the issue of their friends calling you by his last name versus yours?
I did have his last name until I got divorced. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
had the same last name as both of them until I got divorced, and then I went with my maiden name.
Okay. Because that's
my youngest son has my maiden name.
Yeah. That was just a curious question for me because I know with my mom, it's kind of funny because she never corrected anybody. But it was always weird because anytime she signed for something, my teachers always thought I forged a signature because it was never the same last name as me. So
right, yeah.
They were like,
that could be a little confusing.
I'm like, and because anytime we go to a teacher conference or anything, everybody's like, oh, Miss Albee, and I'm like, her last name's not Albee anymore. And it was really entertaining because she was so chill and relaxed about it. I would be the one freaking out, like in ROTC.
She wouldn't correct them, but
she wouldn't.
You're like, but you're not.
Well, it was one of those things because in ROTC, everybody goes by last name, so everybody called me Albee, or Abby, as my first sergeant loved to call me because he always forgot the L. He spelled it wrong every time, and I'm like, I'm on the roster, first name.
When people ask me, how do you spell your name? How do you say that? I'm like, like I'll be right there.
I'll be sure.
I swear, like I have actually almost written my name ALB as in boy Y, because I say it all the time, and it just rolls off the tongue now.
Growing up, mine was the same because I always had to spell out my last name COLV as in Victor IN.
Yep.
And I'm sure there are a few times
I'm pretty sure almost spelt it that way a couple of times, and now I'm trying to get back into the phonetic properly. And so when I was at the hospital, I kept going back and forth. They're like, so how do you spell your last name? I'm like, A as in alpha, L, B as in Bravo, Y. Next person would come in, A, L, B as in boy, Y. Shit.
Well, there was a time that
I have such a habit.
It just rolls off.
Every single time. Albee, Alpha Lima Bravo Yankee.
Okay, so there was a time I had to go to a board when I was in the Army. And it was the biggest board I had ever been to because it was for Soldier of the Year.
Oh,
and I had already won several levels. Now I was in the bigger one, and it was all generals, and we were all very nervous. My hands were sweaty. I was, just drenched, and I walk in and I just stand there, and I have both, I'm at attention, and you're supposed to go in at attention, and then you were supposed to do, you salute and you introduce yourself. You report, right?
Yeah, reporting, yeah.
And I walked in and I stood there at attention and I'm just staring at him. And the command sergeant major goes, Private Colvin. And I said, Private Colvin, COLV as in Victor IN, reporting. and one of the generals said, I think we can end the interview here because if she doesn't remember her last name, I doubt she knows anything out of the 300-600. And now I knew all the questions, so I did win. But that's it. You get some of these little idioms.
See, I'm worried about getting married because
You're still gonna be
I'm
like
still
A L
gonna-
B as in boy. What I mean,
Shit.
shit.
Yeah.
That's not my name.
Exactly. And they always say that it's bad luck to practice writing your last name. And I'm like, I already have chicken scratch, so not like anybody's going to recognize. So I don't have to change my signature because you already can't tell what my last name is in my signature. It just looks like scribbles. I just add a couple more and add a little loop in there and we're good. Now writing out my name, I already have a long name. I already have 13 plus letters in my name, and now my last name's getting longer, and I was so thankful that I only had a 4-letter last name, and now it's getting longer, and I'm like, Shiza. Because my parents tried to kill
don't
me.
hyphenate it.
Oh, I'm not. I'm good. Love my last name, don't get me wrong, but apparently, according to the voting game, last name's the best stripper name in the group. My fiance, whenever we play the voting game, every single time he always won because the last name's Grider. So when it rolls off the tongue, it rolls. So yeah, apparently that's gonna be interesting. So
I need some hooker music on here.
oh god, that's not hooker music.
That was
but,
crickets.
well,
Yeah, that doesn't.
well, I mean, in the strip club off Galveston, there's a one-legged stripper that fit really well. A one-legged stripper who apparently is the star of the show, and I'm pretty sure all you hear are crickets out there. Apparently, they're still running. I thought it was closed down. Nope, it's still up and running. So, I wanted to go just to say I saw a one-legged stripper, but I thought that she'd earned more singles than what I had, so I didn't go.
That's when you have to say you got to get a shirt that says, I paid a one-legged hooker, and I'm, something on your shirt. Hey,
Well, you say I paid a one-legged stripper, and it wasn't long of a show, so. But I mean,
well, when she's on the pole, she has 2 legs.
sure, we'll go with that one.
The pole and her leg. Come on. No,
Oh, that one scares me a little bit. Yeah, no, there's
a
some.
little bit.
Hey, when you work in a prison, you see a lot of crazy stuff. Okay.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
so your next debate question.
Oh God, I don't have any more.
Oh, I thought you had more.
No, I just started winging them after a while because they weren't as funny as the ones I was coming up with.
Okay, so debate the other direction. Because there's an awful lot of rudeness and disrespect in your generation towards their elders.
So much.
So, what is your thoughts on, okay, so like 2 examples. One quick example was, it's actually quite funny. So I was in a movie theater, and this is really rude in a movie theater.
Yeah.
The phone thing. And they even tell you now there's so many commercials on there about
Please
turn your phone off and
turn it on
don't be
silent,
rude.
da, 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 da.
So
yeah.
we were in the movie theater.
Sorry, Will.
Now, my Sammy was there. Sammy was with a friend sitting several aisles behind me.
Okay.
And so I was sitting there, and there was this kid with a group of kids, like right seats in front of me. And he kept getting on his phone. And, excuse me, can you please stop that? Phone keeps texting or playing a game or whatever he was doing. Excuse me. And I tap him this time. Could you please turn your phone off? Fuck you, bitch. And I turned around and I said, okay. Now, my generation, I would never say that to an elder. I don't care if I know them, don't know them, or anything. So, again, I said, excuse me, could you please turn your phone off? It's rude and it's blinding. And he turns around and he goes, you're not my fucking mother. Go fuck yourself. So, I reached over, and I'm pretty quick. I reached over the seat, grabbed his phone, and threw it in his Coke before he had time to figure out what was happening. And I'm like, now go fuck your mother. And before a fight broke out, I mean, it started to, because he jumped up, I jumped up. There was other people that were like, they clapped when I did it. They all thought it was pretty fucking funny. And then before, he was like getting ready to swing. Like literally he was going to swing on an old woman. I'm not really an old woman, but he was literally going to get up and swing at a elder woman. doesn't matter how old I was. I could be 70 or I could be 40 or I could be 30. I'm older than you little fucking twig. And you don't do that. You just don't do that. And man, Sam was over the top of the seats and grabbed him midair and was like, that's my mama. And it was all over with, but I would never, ever, ever have done that when I was a kid. If somebody had done that, I don't care what. I was from California. I was born and raised California native. So it's not that.
If I would have ever done that, I would have been dragged out of the movie theater no matter how old I was, been thrown over somebody's knee and spanked. Whether I was 5 or 15 or 17, it would have happened.
But there's so many of your generation, and especially the even younger generation than you.
Yeah.
That they just have no. Is it just that it's just not in our dog is snoring so loud you can hear him. But it's like the parents are so worried about disciplining and parenting their kids, not correcting their actions, that as they get older and older, that's the same kid who's going to be like, bitch, give me the keys to your car. No, you can't drive my car. Fuck you, bitch.
So I've actually
excuse my language.
I've actually talked to a bunch of different parents, including my own, and a couple of my friends, and I see how a lot of us are raised, because I've noticed that a lot of the same kind of kids kind of mingle together. A lot of my friends were raised with not necessarily a strict household, but a strong founded household. And I actually had a lot of friends who also had very lenient parents, didn't care what they didn't care whatsoever. You know, they could stay out till midnight at 14, go get drunk, half of them got pregnant, and they were actually jealous of the fact that I had a parent who would discipline me. What a lot of parents have told me is that because their parents couldn't provide a lot growing up, you know, it was harder. You know, baby boomers, Great Depression, all this, it was a harder time growing up, didn't have everything we have. They wanted to give everything that they didn't have to their kids. And I think the problem is now, instead of it being a privilege to be giving that, my generation especially is taking it as a right. And that, to me, isn't okay. My parents were,
it's become the entitled generation.
Oh my God, by far. I have kids who, there's kids at school that I wanted to just throw out.
Lack of accountability, entitlement.
Well, the problem is
everybody else.
There's no such thing as punishment anymore. You can't spank your kid. I remember whenever I was really young, if I was over at a friend's house and I did something wrong, they were allowed to spank me. Mm-hmm. There was nothing. There was basic discipline. It takes a village. And now, if you were to do that and you even get yelled at by another parent, it's CPS gets called. Oh, you abused my child, whatever. And now it's,
how dare you even correct my child?
Thank you. Oh, they can do no wrong and all this. And the problem is you're basically making a generation that.
Well, don't call me for his bail money.
You're basically creating a generation that has absolutely no such thing as thick skin, and they literally have no way to do anything themselves and don't know anything. So to me, my generation, and I do hate being part of this generation, I really do. There's a group, there's actually a group in my high school that we actually started.
You guys need a protest group.
We actually did. We actually started a petition in my high school that we had about 50 kids that said we wanted to be considered a different generation. We actually had a ton of signatures. It was really funny, but no, there's actually a really big group of us that are very much, we want to bring back, and there's a lot of us across the country that I've met, I've moved around a lot, that want to bring back the older style of how it goes, you know?
I would love to do that with clothing too.
Yes.
Like well, we want to do the whole, look at the way the women,
the blue collar,
the women and the men. I'm not just talking about women, men and women, but look at the way that that they dressed even in the 40s. You know, I mean, like, I love that show. What's that show that we like so much? The comedian?
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
Yes. I mean, the outfits, the way she dressed, and that was my grandmother. I mean, she matched her gloves to her shoes, to her purse, to her hat.
Well, that was the beginning. I mean, of course, you had the 20s, which was the most risque until we have today. But the 40s and 50s, I love because you were able to express yourself more. Yes, there was more revealing clothing, but it was a classy. It wasn't these girls walking around with WAP on their shirt.
Jacket,
and
or the what's the saying on the butt that all juicy, that they're all wearing this juicy right across their ass, and then they get mad when the guys are looking at their butt. Hello, you just put an advertisement on your ass.
Thank you. And for me, it's one of those things where I'm like, for me, it's more about the work ethic. I would love the aesthetic of it, but there's a lot of us that like the work ethic of it. It used to be you could go do a 9-to-5 job and support your family. You could make something out of nothing, and now you can't even work a minimum wage job and have a house. I can't even afford an apartment, and I'm working way above minimum wage, and I still can't afford it, and I don't have a car payment, and I don't have these extra things. But it's to the point where, instead of having this mommy daddy took care of something because they happen to make it big or get in the right industry, I wish it was you could go out at 16 or 15, start your job, do what you got to do, and be a self-made person. And that's just absolutely impossible nowadays unless you make something amazing like Amazon, Facebook, things like that. And all of it's tech-based. And the problem with tech-based is as soon as it goes down, our entire society relies on it too much.
Well, I think another part of your generation, and maybe a little the generation just before you,
Millennials.
not ours, but that we have taught those generations, like with YouTube. I mean, yes, I do a YouTube show, but I did this because of COVID, and really got into it because of COVID. Not that I didn't do my other stuff and had my business, but we have taught so many people that, when I was in school and somebody came for career day or something like that, and you had astronauts and you had different people come in, firemen, policemen, doctors and nurses and stuff, and when the day was over, it was like, well, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a nurse, or I want to be a fireman, or I want to be a lawyer, or I want to do this.
Yeah.
And now it's when you ask kids, what do you want to be?
I want to be a streamer.
I want to be a streamer. I want
to be Instagram famous. I want
to be Insta famous.
And the thing is, and the saddest part is the fact that you do actually have kids who are not even of legal age yet who are famous doing these things. I mean, and you have dog profiles that are making money on Instagram.
You have little kids who are being exploited by their parents because they can make money from them.
But the thing is, they don't feel exploited because the fact that, oh my God, I'm famous, everybody knows who I am. And the problem with that is now people are getting bigger heads.
Until they turn 25, 30.
Thank you.
And their parents
look at Macaulay.
Look at the teen, or not teen stars, but child stars, and some of them have come out of it, like Candace Burr. She's done really well, but she is, honest to God, I think the reason why. Look at her brother Kirk Cameron. I don't idolize either one of them, but I have utmost respect for both of them because they're both Christians. They hold their Christian values. And they've held their family values, and their parents didn't take advantage of them and rip them off. Look at Britney Spears. Look at Lindsay Lohan. Look at Macaulay Culkin, or however you say his name. Look at the Coreys. Look at so many of these other kids that have been taken advantage of, one, by their parents, by their managers, whether it's been financially or sexually or whatever. Fame, and those are the first ones that'll tell you don't want to be famous.
And yet all the kids in my generation can think about is how to get the next follower.
But what did we teach? But what did we teach them in that what did my generation as parents teach their kids? That you need to get attaboys and pats on the back and everybody's a winner.
The participation trophies are BS. Because I'm sorry, but the problem with it is, great, they participated, but the problem is now you have not created a work ethic. The biggest problem. There's no such thing as a work ethic because there's no such thing as competition or challenge.
You haven't created somebody who has the ability to lose.
Well,
if they don't know what it's like to lose, but that's teaching them how to lose. You have to lose the game and realize you were not the best. You didn't win a trophy. You didn't get anything, and work harder so that the next time that you go, when Sammy was, I think he was probably like sixth or so, and we had the final competitions of his little league t-ball or whatever he was in, and his team sucked. They were horrible. They were bad, and I got in so much trouble just by combating the refs and the people saying, what are you doing? You're not teaching these kids anything. They're not learning anything. They're just out there picking daisies and kicking the dirt.
Is you basically tell these kids, "Oh, you're doing great, and then they realize that.
And then when they get to college, and they're
world,
like, "Oh, you know." And so he came running up with his little trophy. Look, Mama, I won! Look, Mama, I won! And I took it away from him, threw it in the trash, and said, "You didn't win shit. Your team sucked, and you were the worst ones out there."
See, I
and he was like, "No, I got a trophy. You know, see, I won."
The little teenies, you know, the little guys when they first get out,
like 2.
Those ones perfectly fine. That's fine. But once you start getting older, you realize that part of the reason that the U.S. is 26th in education and most of our sports, I mean, you're just basically teaching kids that as long as you show up, that's enough. I mean, I know
that's
people,
the same kids. Those are the same kids who want the same grade as the one who's in class getting A papers.
The biggest problem that I have so much lately is, and actually I had a debate about this with my fiance the other day, is because we tried seeing who was smarter, and I threw out the GPAs and everything, and he didn't do the best in high school, but he was a sports guy, and I excelled in grades, and I got lazy, so I could have done better, but I didn't want to. But the thing is everybody throws out, well, some of the most important people dropped out of high school dropped out of college. And I'm like, you guys are stupid. It's not that they dropped out. Yeah, no, they still got their GEDs. Yes, they might have left early, but they still got the education. But also, guess what? They already had a higher IQ. That is not the standard for everybody.
Yeah, you can't look at Stephen Hawking or Steve Jobs as the prime for everything.
Crayons.
You know, in math, it's the prime number. And the prime number is not these people. The prime number is there are many, many people who had to work hard at something, and it didn't just come naturally. And they didn't do it on their own. So many of Steve Jobs worked out of his garage. He
had partners. He had partners who helped him.
And then it's like Jeff Bezos, he started in his not his garage. I hear it all the time about his garage. He started in his parents' garage.
And started with just books, too. And it was originally supposed to just be a bookstore. And then he realized, he wanted it to go bigger, but it started out as a bookstore.
And he got the supplies from all his... Well, I want you to be able to hear if I play something.
I can hear the two of you.
Okay. So he got the supplies from his parents' friends, and his family, and his friends. So, you know, he didn't go to the bookstore and buy a bunch of books and then resell them. He got started with that from donations that he got from other people. Yes, he started in his garage. It just happened to do well. And a huge part of that is he was actually didn't want to be in school, but he was smart, and he came up with a little idea, and it was just to make himself some pocket money. It turned out the last part of the equation is luck. It just happened to hit.
Yep.
And if your show hits or your personality hits, you might become a hit. I'm a comedian. I do stand up. I've been doing it for several years. Have you seen me on my own show yet? Do I have a Netflix show? No. Am I funny?
Oh, yeah.
Do I make people laugh? Can I pull it off? Do I get the timing down? Am I able to throw it?
Pull shit out of the hat? Fuck yeah. Pardon my French.
But have I gotten it? No, because I haven't hit number 4. I am smart. I'm capable. I have people that are helping, but number 4 is I haven't.
That recognition.
It hasn't hit. I didn't hit the lucky yet. Am I going to stop because I'm 50? No, I'm going to keep going. And if I don't hit the luck button until I'm 60, well, I'll just keep going until I'm 60.
Well, that's the thing, and a lot of people, and it's all about hard work and dedication.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at most of the people who have done these. A lot of them turn things down. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to sell out. No, I'm not going to do this. And look at how much they gain because of it. But look at all the time and the effort they put into it. It's not just, I'm going to drop out and just whoop, everything's done.
Okay, and
It's
some
not
people
like
might
that.
even look at what we're doing here as like, boom, here you go, you got a show. You've been here watching the progression of getting our equipment put in, getting equipment that we've been buying. Now, granted, a lot of this equipment was bought for everything that I do on the road, but now we've turned it into, I mean, the studio, when you come in here, it looks pretty amazing.
Yeah.
We have a comfy corner for lady knockers, so it's not.
But this is 6 months of progress. I've been here for 6 months.
Yeah.
It's not just a up and done. A lot of people don't see.
That's kind of one of the reasons why I get really irritated when I see commercials that pop up on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. Oh, you can have a YouTube show or you can do a podcast in 5 minutes. And I'm like, bullshit.
You can, but it's not going to be of good quality.
You can, but the quality that you're going to have out of it just isn't there. So,
but a lot of people don't understand that it's a lot of monetary value goes into it, time, effort, dedication, thought process. It's not just a
commitment.
Let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah, you got to have that consistency and commitment. If you say you're going to be on at 8 o'clock every week, you got to be on at 8 o'clock every week.
Yeah, because you might have that one person who's actually going to be on, and when you're not, then you just lost that one person.
Now, granted, when you've got 1.5 million, 4 million followers, sure, you could miss a Thursday.
Yeah, and they're
gonna be like something happened, and they're gonna be back on Monday. But when you're, especially right now, I've got like 10 followers or 10 subscribers. So
you've got 13 actually.
Oh, do I?
Yes,
I gained 3 more followers. So you
I know you have at least one more.
You okay? But at that point, you have to be consistent and dedicated and doing it, and that means that night that you don't feel well. Because when you work for yourself, that's one of the hardest things to do when you work for yourself is to not say, oh, gee, I just don't feel like it tonight. Because when you work for yourself, that's one of the hardest. I heard that.
Okay, you have 11 subscribers. Sorry. You're double checking.
And I'll tell you, I'm kind of one of those people, I got through high school. I was bored off my ass. I was not interested. What I was doing just did not.
And how old are you now?
Quite a few years older.
Oh, come on. I just said I was 50.
Well, just because I'm 51.
And who just enrolled in college?
I just started getting things going back to it.
I finishing his enrollment.
I just went through there but that's part of it, I never was a big school person, but anytime I went through anything, whether it was the military, I graduated boot camp as a squad leader because I strived. I excelled because I pushed to get there. Then I turned around and I went through my A school and I was the honor grad of my class for A school. Again, the same type of thing. Because
there you go. I was about to say we need to just get fucking emojis on that thing.
Right. I need to put something on those because I can't read my own. Most of it's wiped off.
Believe it or not, they've actually done a lot of studies lately that most people actually excel more in college if you take at least 1 year off in between because a lot of people
or 25.
To 30. But that's the thing. I could have gone through college. I did go to college. I dropped out my first semester due to medical, but I had no desire to go back because for me, I rather go through a trade. I would love to get my EMT right now. Yes. Should I do it right now? Because it's a lot easier. Yes. But do I also know that there's other things going on? Yes. And I know eventually when I get to where I want to be, I'll do it. But also part of it is that right now, kids are getting degrees in liberal arts and
social economics.
And the problem is you can't
socialism.
make a degree out of that. You have a degree, but you can't make a job out of that.
Well, and even my degree, I have a degree in journalism, and let me tell you,
that gets you almost nowhere nowadays.
I'm at UNR. I didn't go to UNR. We live by UNR. And when I make my extra money by Ubering or lifting, I pick up a lot of UNR students. And I almost always ask, what's your major? What are you going to school for? And every single time that I have heard somebody say, oh, I'm a journalism major, I go, I'm sorry, and you should change your major. And they're like, oh, why would you say that? And I said, well, because I have a degree in journalism.
And I'm your Uber driver tonight.
And I'm your Uber driver.
The biggest problem is that, and it used to be with an associate's degree.
Well, I also have ethics, so I can't be in mainstream media.
well, the big thing is it used to be you have an associate's degree and it gets you up ahead in a hiring process. Now you need a bachelor's degree just to level the playing field.
But you need a degree and you need experience.
But you can't get experience while you have a degree because you just spent all the time doing that. But you can't get a degree.
I'm sorry, you have a degree, but you don't have any experience, ma'am. Oh, you have great experience, but you have no degree.
And that's the big thing. And that's why, honestly, trade work needs to come back. We have so many trade workers are starting to retire out because a lot of trade workers will work until they're 50, 60, 70.
80.
And a lot of these people are leaving, and the amazing techniques they do, the things that people can do with their hands is dying off because people aren't taking these trades. I mean, my high school offered HVAC certification, EMT certification, welding. I can't even tell you.
And you know,
so
some of those trades,
ones.
Yes, they are hard on your body, but like welding, dude.
I mean,
welding,
an underwater welder.
I was just going to say that. And if you get your scuba licensing and you can do underwater welding
out in Texas offshore, you can work for 2-3 months a year, and you're going to make more than the people who are working on top of the platform drilling that. And that's the thing. But people don't understand. It takes that little extra motivation and education, and not necessarily in a classroom.
And that is not a Ivy League college degree program.
No, it's not. I mean, welding takes a lot, and you really have to have a talent for it. But if you're willing to put in the time and the effort, you can become an apprentice with a welder and learn and go take a test. I believe you just can take a test when you are finished or whatever. And you don't have to prove that you have a degree in it in order to pass.
Certification.
You just need the certification.
And that's the other thing about trade schools is you're not just doing it in a classroom. You have to have hands-on experience to do it. You can't be a blacksmith and do it all online and everything and expect somebody to hire you. No, you go through apprenticeship because the only way you learn is hands-on.
Well, and there's some people that there's a study out there about the learning process, and some people are visual learners, some people are, so you have the book learners, you have the hands-on learners, and then you have the mix. I'm a mix of the two. I can learn both ways, and I do well. I do very well. If I watch somebody do it, I can replicate it. And that's how I learned welding. I don't have a certification in welding, but I can weld like you can't believe. But that's because I watched my dad, and I learned from watching my dad and learning how from him. But so that's a good debate question. I don't know if it's necessarily a debate or not, or if you have a different philosophy on it, or you. So I think personally that we should have absolute school reform. I think the classes that you're taught in
bring back home ec.
Well, not just bring back home ec, but I think the core classes that we are teaching in school are stuff that aren't necessarily going to be used. I think that you should take some kind. And
don't ask me about AP biology. I took AP biology, and I can't remember any of it. Didn't help me now. Pythagorean theorem. I know it has to do with triangles.
Well,
the problem is that
even when you go from a very young age, and each progression, you could do another assessment type of test that I think would be good for them to do to see where you naturally excel. So if you're mathematically inclined, you can pass those type of little exams that say this person's mathematically or scientifically.
Well, I was actually able to do
that
a little bit in my senior year because I took the PSAT, which actually allowed me to do dual credit classes, AP classes. But the problem is that when you do these classes, it's great on a college application, all that. But the problem is you're cramming and you're not actually learning what you're doing.
But see, what in my philosophy of changing it would be you do the assessments to see where you excel. and then they gear your classes towards that
I
towards
think that
how
would
you
be a
would
great
excel
idea
that way.
because the problem
And
is
then
you
if
do these
you're-
standardized testing and then these kids seem stupid when really
Right.
they might be a freaking math genius, but how you're teaching them, they don't understand
Well,
it.
and then you take the person who's way more artistically inclined and they're very artistic, they can draw, they can sing, and then you gear their classes towards that, and they may not even take a math class at all. They may take a very basic math class so that they can learn how to add, subtract, and multiply. But you don't need to learn trigonometry if you're not scientifically or mathematically inclined, and you're not going to go become a scientist or a doctor or a chemist.
I think the basic ones that you need to know to survive. Your basic things, yes.
You need to know that when they tell you it's $2.72,
how to count out the freaking
$2.72.
Yeah. But no, I think that's definitely right because a lot of we had the STAR test in Texas and then it changed again, or it was TAX and then it was STAR and da 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 da. And you had people who would fail it, and the problem is it's because you have a time test that you're giving people. Some people can't do time tests. For me, I do better on time tests because I don't second guess myself. If it's not timed, I second guess myself and I'll throw off all my own answers. And it's actually, we almost self-sabotage with them.
Yeah,
so
I
really,
do that a lot.
That's my big thing. But I'm a natural test taker, but you give me in class and you ask me off the bat what an answer is, I don't know. And I don't remember it after the test either. But then you have the kids who I can't carry a note to save my life, really.
No, I would scare alley cats that are fighting out of the alley.
But I mean, but if you have something that you excel at, I mean, math I was actually pretty good at. History was my pride, my joy, my passion. Loved it. But how my AP class worked, I couldn't write fast enough because that's what it was. It was straight lecture. We barely ever used the book. It was straight lecture. You had to write every single thing down. And what you think might be important is not what's on the test. So, I had kids that went through those thick 3-subject notebooks, went through one each semester. And I had a portion of that. So I sucked at the test, even though it was open book. I can't write that fast. You're gearing it towards kids who have been doing AP classes all 4 years. I just got into AP. I don't know these study habits. And the other problem is we're not teaching home ec. We're not teaching any sort of living standard.
Life skills, for God's sake.
And oh my God, there's no such thing as time management because you give us a strict schedule every single day. We do not know how it works. That's why I liked my high school. My high school had a different schedule every single day. We had our 7 classes the first day, and then it was 1 through 4, then it was 4 through 7, and then it was 7 through 1. Everything, it was changed. So we had larger amounts of time on certain days for certain classes, and it was switched. So it wasn't just only 54 minutes each day for class. It changed it up, and it made us be more time sensitive to know, okay, this is how much time we have in class, and it made us prepared. We didn't have lockers.
Well, and part of the other thing that I think is forgotten or not paid attention to is if you have teachers communication, teachers talking to each other about what's happening, because if you have a huge science test or huge math test, and
our AP teachers did it on purpose, and they scheduled the tests on purpose because you would have one kid has 3 AP classes, and all 3 classes you'd have an AP test at the same time.
Well, that's fine, but what I'm
same day.
So then you're having to prepare for it. But the problem is if the teachers also aren't communicating and they're also not paying attention to the students when you're supposed to be learning math in math class because you're in math class, but you have a science test you haven't prepared for next hour. You're spending your entire math class not listening to the teacher, not paying attention, and not doing the work.
Not only are you going to fail your science test because you're not prepared, but you're not going to fail your math test because you had to waste your time.
And you're spending that whole time during math class studying for the next test because you didn't study the night before, because they aren't teaching time management. They're also not teaching. When I went to high school, and granted, I went to boarding school and there was some teaching techniques that were different. So, and I had to do my homework in triplicate. So that kind of sucked because I had to do it in my language, and I had to do it in German, and I had to do it in another language. So I had to do it 3 times the exact same work at the exact same time, but we had all the same classes for the same period of time so that you were focused on that class for that period, not like a period. It was weeks at a time was all that. But the other classes that they taught were our language. But the biggest one, and I still use it to this day, that was one of my best teaching things that they do not teach from the time that you first start high school, which should be a freshman class, is how to bloody take notes.
Yep, that's a
how
huge,
to know, how to memorize, how to take
all
notes,
year
and
to learn how to take AP notes properly.
You need to learn how to learn. And if they don't teach you how to learn, you're writing. I remember people in class when I was in the U.S. before I went to overseas.
Well, that's like somebody taking a textbook and just highlighting the entire thing.
They're highlighting either the entire textbook or their notes. You look at they're trying to write every single word. And
that was my problem. I didn't know how to, because even if I abbreviated it, I don't remember what the abbreviation is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the big problem is that like we said, every person learns differently. You have people who learn hands-on, verbally, and visually, or audibly and visually. And the problem is like when you have lecture classes, like my AP class was, that is straight auditory. For me,
that's great for the auditory learner.
But for me, I don't know what you're emphasizing on, because if you're talking the same tone the entire time, I can't pick up.
You're talking in monotone, so this is really.
And he was a great teacher. Don't get me wrong. He was very expressive, but not enough to where, every once in a while he would say, "This might be on your test." So obviously everybody's jotting it down.
But they're highlighting the entire paragraph rather than what
exactly. And there's only so much you can actually do. And then you have other teachers who just, it's just. I love how teachers have different teaching styles, but each kid needs a different learning style.
What do you think about core math?
Core math is a very difficult subject to talk about.
Because Sam loves core math.
Oh, I feel like that's total sarcasm.
No, really, he does, because his learning, I disagree. I think it's complete crap, and I think there's way too many steps. But for him, he's mathematically inept. I mean, absolutely mathematically inept. So for the kids, and this is how I think that aptitude at the beginning could be for people that just need to learn. Damn it.
Let me tell you this real quick. This is what my school did for people who had to have their fourth math, because we could pick what we wanted to do. I did a college math course. You could do something that was called Math 15, and literally you would sit there and count M&Ms.
Okay.
For senior year, because there were so many people who were just like, I can't, I have too many other classes, and they literally did it was literally the most basic. It was counting M&Ms. And
so the reason that Sam said that he likes it is because since he is so mathematically inept, he's like, because it dumbs it down so stupid that I can understand it. For me, because I'm not mathematically inept, I think it's ridiculous because there's 400 steps to a 2-part problem. And so I think there's two different types of people.
Well, that's why I think the aptitude test works.
You could go to this level for, you're going to go into mathematics or science or something that.
Well, that's why they put me up in college English. I mean, I was already in college English aptitude by the time I was a sophomore.
So for somebody like him, then he goes to the other side where it's the little short bus to the math class.
They actually did have that somewhat where it was, if it was, what's it called?
The short
starts
bus?
with an R. I can't remember. No. Remedial math or remedial English, things like that. We did have that, but the problem is as soon as you got put into what was called remedial, it automatically made you seem stupid. And it's not.
And that's
not
the problem is they make the kids who have to have something like that feel like they're not smart, because there's so many times Sam would come home and tell me, "I'm stupid. I'm not smart." And I'd be like, "No, honey, you just understand it differently, and we have to work harder at it."
We have so many
went to other
kids who
other
are
things that he could do. Well, there's a good story for that with Sam, because he was pretty young. I don't remember what grade he was in, but he was pretty young. Right after this one, let's do what Dad wanted to do, and then I want you to do it.
No, it's way back. It's so far back behind what we were talking.
But you had it on.
Yeah, but it's so far back behind what we're doing.
We can rabbit hole back and then we're done. So anyway, when Sam was in school, he got in trouble for blurting out in class. And I ended up getting called into the school because
I feel like you said a swear word.
No, he didn't. So I asked the teacher to explain to me what happened. And it wasn't math, so I don't remember what the answer actually was, because it might have been this one. But anyway, he liked to answer questions. Yeah. So she wouldn't call on him. So he got bored, and she was ignoring him. So he got bored. So he crawled underneath of his desk and was playing with his shoe and doing whatever he was doing to entertain himself. And after a while, he jumped out from under the desk and said, "It's 2!" and screamed at everybody. And then he got in trouble for screaming at the class and yelling. And I asked a simple question. When you were asking this question, what was happening in the class? And she goes, well, right when I asked the question, he raised his hand and he wanted to answer. And I didn't call on him because he's always wanting to answer the questions. And I said, so you ignored him and then you started asking other people in the class the question. And she goes, yes. And I said, okay, so were they answering the question? She goes, yeah, they were all getting it wrong. I said, so he's bored. He's under the desk playing with his shoe. And then he got so annoyed that you wouldn't answer him or let him answer the question when he had the correct answer, that he finally got up and blurted out the answer because you all annoyed him to tears or to bloody boredom. So that's a good example of probably when he decided, I hate math and I'm not doing math anymore, because I think it was 2. But anyway, finish this up. Do the one thing so we can circle back to where we were at the beginning, and then we can call this show, because we are already 43 minutes past our normal time. But this was a fun little bullshit session.
All I was going to do, we were back talking about the millennials and
it's a great circle
generations, generations and stuff like that.
It actually circles back very well.
And this is something I ran across. I saw this morning. Andrea, our really good friend Andrea, is actually the one that had posted this, and it was a copy and a repost type thing. And it says, I'm Generation X. Anyone who's born between 1965 and 1979. We are the last generation that played outside until dark. We are the first to play video games. The last to record songs. It's actually listed on here. The last to record songs off the radio onto cassette tapes. We loved roller skating on Friday and Saturday nights. We survived the 80s with big hair and the era of extravagant everything. We took walks with friends without worrying about being taken. We watched cartoons on Saturday mornings while eating a bowl of cereal. We programmed the VCR before anyone else. We remembered learning how to use a computer for the first time. We played Atari and Nintendo. We are the generation of Soul Train, Gilligan's Island, Duke of Hazzard, Scooby-Doo, Charlie's Angels, Wonder Woman, Little House on the Prairie, Happy Days, and Good Times. We traveled in cars without seatbelts or airbags and lived without cell phones. We did not have flat screens, surround sound, iPad, Facebook, or Twitter, but we had a great time all the time with each other.
And if your friends weren't home, what did you do?
Read a book.
You rode your bike back home and went back later. Or you left a note on their door.
Right. You sat there and, there was
no
a lot
wonder
of...
we have so much obesity in today's society, because everybody, if people could get an app on their phone with, hey, Google, bring me a beer, they would do it.
It comes down to, there were a lot of firsts and a lot of lasts with Generation X, and you're absolutely right. That was it. You played outside. I grew up and we had
rules were when the lights
turn on, that means you get your ass home.
Your butt home.
And for me, it wasn't even that, because we lived 8.5 miles from town. Our next door neighbors, we had 6 acres. The neighbors had like 10 acres. We lived out in farm country, so we didn't have streetlights. There were no streetlights.
Right. So
it was
street lights wouldn't necessarily be get home, because then you would never have to come home.
And half the time it was a matter of we were just outside until it was
till dinner or whatever.
I think I'm done. Time to go in.
Yeah.
See, something that my mom always said, my grandfather said, and it's actually, I remember hearing him say it, I think once. You'd come in to eat, and then he'd say, go outside and go knock the stink off of yourself.
Oh, that's a good say. Well,
And
you think
I
about it.
miss the fact that even my generation, we played outside, but if they weren't on our street, you couldn't go anywhere. There was no walking around and going far. It wasn't I'm going to go over to Susie's house, which is, 8 blocks down or whatever. I'm going to ride my bike. I'll be back by dinner time.
Well, and I think a big part of that too for your generation versus our generation is we knew all the neighbors. We knew everybody on our street. Our parents knew all of each other. So if you said, I'm going to Tommy's house, you knew who Tommy was and you knew what house they were, and you probably had their phone number or whatever. Whereas in your generation was it's not the beginning of kidnappings and
no, these have always been going on. It's just now
happening.
It's media awareness of it. And the problem is now it's going to the point of hysteria.
Right.
Because, okay, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Now you raise your kids in
all
a
of
bubble.
these people were around back then, prolific, and people were still going out and doing stuff. The only difference is now it's more of protection. Well, instead of saying, no, you can't do that because you might get taken, my mom gave us a password. She's like, if anybody tries to come pick you up and says that they're my friend, and you don't know them, ask them what the password is. I luckily never had to have that issue, but I had a friend of mine that did. They asked for the password, they got it wrong, and they ran and screamed bloody murder.
Teach kids discipline, teach kids defense, teach kids how to fight back.
Stranger danger, but instead of...
Stranger danger is a good thing to teach them, but you have to teach them self-awareness and how to get out of it and how not to respond to it. If somebody says, my little dog is missing, can you help me find it?
If somebody comes up to you, don't automatically think they're going to be a pedophile, but if you have a feeling that something's wrong, go with your instinct. And that was the number one thing that my mom and my stepdad put in me. Even in high school, they said, if you go to a party and something feels off, I'd rather you call me and tell me, and I'll come pick you up without a question than find out that you're dead in a ditch somewhere.
Well,
because the problem is it's either you have parents who say, go do whatever you want, no consequences, I don't give a or you have parents who say, oh my God, you're not going anywhere.
You can't do anything.
And so the problem is you're either in a bubble or you're in a completely undisciplined zone instead of being able to say, you know what, I'm going to give you this freedom that you earned. Learn how to do this. Here you go.
And then the other aspect of that too is teaching kids. Like today, I think one of the worst things that you can do for human trafficking or child endangerment or kidnapping and stuff like that is this absolute attack on law enforcement. Because we were
always told if you're in trouble, find a uniform. Didn't matter what kind of uniform.
Police are bad. But now they're teaching all these younger generation, younger than you, police are the enemy. Police are bad. I know one time when I was a police officer, I was in a grocery store and I was in uniform, and this little girl was misbehaving in front of her mother, and her mother grabbed her, not aggressively, not abusively, but grabbed her and said, if you don't stop it, I'm going to have that police officer take you to jail. And I put her in her place. I said, please don't ever say that to your child again, because you are making me the bad guy.
Instead of you disciplining your child, you're using an image.
Your child. You take care of your child. Don't tell your child I'm going to take him to jail, because the minute your child happens to be kidnapped or happens to be assaulted or something bad were to happen to your child and sees me in uniform walking down the street and they're being taken against their will, the first thing that they're going to have an impression of is, don't go to her for help. She's going to take me to jail. So you need to, and that's one of the other things that is going to hurt our kids today, is that we're teaching them that the police are the enemy. Are there bad police officers? Yes. But are there bad apple pickers?
Yes.
The
problem is there's always a bad bunch and everything. There's never going to be a group that's always going to be perfect. There's always going to be parents who are...
The only way we're ever going to get perfect police officers if we have a perfect computer programmer that programs the the robots.
And even then, it can already be biased.
That's why I said the perfect.
Yeah, and then it would
That
already
won't
be
work.
biased. I mean, I know for police, I'm comfortable with them. My brother is an officer. You were an officer. I've military in the family everywhere. But I mean, I was coming home from dropping off my little brother. I just gotten out here, and I basically ran out of gas, freaking out, and
Oh yeah, that was a
couldn't.
scary moment.
Oh, I was terrified. That was the first time I was in the middle of nowhere, practically no cell signal. All I heard were the little banjos in the background. And
The
I
hills have eyes.
was terrified. And the moment I felt relief was as soon as I saw those flashing lights. They had pulled somebody over on the side of the road, and I said, you know what, I just got saved.
And
because
you weren't afraid to go up
no,
and ask for help.
trust me, I was like, I might get shot or tased for this, because it is like 1:00 in the morning. I'm on the side of the road that has no
on
lights
a desolate
whatsoever,
highway.
completely in the mountains, nothing around. Pull over, I'm sitting there, put my hazards on, and I step out of my car, and I'm just sitting there. Don't have anything in my hands, waiting for them to get done. Try to wave them down, think they passed me. I'm about to start crying, and they come back up, lights on behind me. I'm like, oh great, now I'm gonna go to jail. Hey, at least I'm gonna have somewhere to sleep tonight.
And they'll call
you
my
know,
parents.
and they're looking at me. They got flashlights on me, and I'm, making sure that my hands are shown and trying to explain to them what's going on. And they were super nice and helped me get to a gas station real quick, so I was able to get on my way home.
And they even helped pay for your gas.
Yeah, they even helped me out that much, just to at least get me where I needed
that's
to
because
be.
you're white.
Whatever. But the thing is for me, that's always been the feeling that I've had is, if you ever have an issue, find a uniform. If you're, whether it's fire, police, even security, it doesn't matter, EMT, anybody in uniform, as long as it's not a prison jumpsuit, you're pretty much safe. And that's always been the thing. And they always said, yell fire if something's going on. Don't always scream, because nowadays kids scream just to be little brats. But if you yell fire, somebody's going to look.
Yeah.
And that's because they know that is an immediate danger thing. I mean, and I think the DARE program ended up causing more issues than it helped, with the whole drug awareness.
I think it taught more.
It taught us a lot more than it helped anything else. I mean, I learned a lot of slang, and yeah, it just, no. But I think the problem is that they've now made it to where they've segregated first responders from society instead of integrating them. We used to have it to where police and firefighters would come into school every single year to give us a demonstration. At my middle school in Wisconsin, they had fire and police that would come out and give us a demonstration of how they put out a fire, how they do what they do, and showed us what their job was and how it would help us. And we got to go through fake fire simulators where they put the steam in there and you think it's snow, and they're like, this is how you get out. And it showed you what they are there for and why they're there. And now all you see is the media.
Now, and I don't know if this is true. I read it somewhere on Facebook or social media or something. So it could be true.
Well, it was on the internet, so it has to be true.
Or it might
Oh,
not
yeah.
be true. It was on the internet, so it definitely is true. But I read something somewhere. That's why I'm saying that. I'm making a disclosure. It may be true and it may not be true. But I heard about a story where a kid's dad is a cop. And on career day, he had his dad come in and the school asked him to leave.
I would not actually be surprised by that at all. I would not be.
And I was like, the part of the problem with that is all the other parents who have problems with the stuff that's happening are sitting at home, not stopping it from happening.
Yep.
And on that note, we have 6 minutes. So let's end this. We have 6 minutes to end this show.
I know. All I know is I've been feeling my heartbeat in my stomach this entire time. It's kind of weird. Like, literally, it's like right here. It's really weird.
That's because you ate the Grinch.
No, I think my heart just started to thaw like the Grinch.
Oh, well, that could be. I thought it was because you ate the Grinch and his heart is growing 2 sizes too big. So AOC thinks that we all need to become socialists and everybody needs to get a kumbayas and butterflies and all that. What, as a millennial, technically you're not a millennial. You're right.
I'm technically the older Gen Z is what they call us.
Older Gen Z. Okay, whatever.
Because they have the new technology Gen Z, and then they have the old Gen Z. So new technology is 2002 and earlier.
So
don't ask me. I looked at it earlier.
If you could put in say you were presenting to Congress or Senate a solution to today's generational problems, go.
Ooh. That's actually kind of a difficult one. I think automatically the first thing that I would say to fix with the generational problems is these big companies. We're supposed to not have monopolies, and we do. Obviously, there are monopolies everywhere. Amazon's monopoly, big pharmacy's monopoly, all of it. It just...
There's like 3 or 4 major monopolies.
Lilly, the medical that runs most of the diabetic stuff, they're a massive monopoly. They're making so much money. I think the biggest thing is to be able to fix those issues would make it to where people can actually work. And a lot of kids in my generation right now feel like there's no point in them working because they can't get anywhere. They feel defeated. It doesn't matter if you work 5 hours a week or you work 60 hours a week, you're defeated because there's no way to make it in this world. You can't. Everybody says, get out of your mom's basement. I would love to, but I can't. I can't afford my car because I'm paying so much in everything else. Or I have a car, but I have to live out of it. For us, it's a pick or a choose now. It's not I'm going to work my 9-to-5 job. I've got my truck in the driveway. I got a house with my wife and 6 kids. So I think the biggest thing is don't raise minimum wage. The biggest problem is everybody keeps saying raise minimum wage. No, it's not about how much you make. It's about how much the consumers are spending. And the problem is you're making the prices to where we cannot physically have a wage to make the prices. That's one of the big things. The other big thing...
Can I throw something on that?
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of people, and I'm one of them, I would love to buy all the products and all the stuff that I buy and use, including some of the stuff that's in my studio. I would love to be a dedicated 100% made in America person.
That would make so many jobs, but the problem is that it's so much cheaper to outsource it.
All the companies that make in-house American products, if you really read the real full label, parts are made in China, parts are made in this country, and it's assembled in America, or it's made in America, assembled in Taiwan, or whatever. But the problem is we cannot afford in this country because the companies don't bring their prices down enough to where you can afford to buy the products. That's why you're buying knockoff China products. That's why the people that were vaping, like I buy a name brand. Yes, I vape.
Yep.
But I buy a name brand vape and I don't buy the knockoff products from China.
The Chinese biotechnical laboratory in Wuhan is owned by Glaxo, who by chance owns Pfizer, the one who produced the vaccine, which by chance is managed by BlackRock Finances, who by chance manages the finances of the Open Foundation company, Soros Foundation, which by chance serves the French AXA. Coincidentally, he owns the German company Winterthur, however that one is pronounced, who by chance built the Chinese laboratory in Wuhan, accidentally bought by the German, whatever one, Allen's, which incidentally has Vanguard as a stakeholder, as a shareholder, which is a shareholder of BlackRock, which controls the central banks and manages about 1/3 of the global investment capital, which incidentally is a major shareholder in Microsoft, the property of Bill Gates, who happens to be a shareholder in Pfizer, which sells the miracle vaccine, and is currently the first sponsor of WHO. If it is not clear exactly or clear enough why a bat came in and grabbed the snake and the entire planet became infected. So
I swear to God, it's like the
biggest problem is there.
I knew an old lady who swallowed a
fly.
And this one here, again, this is copied. It says right on there, copied from a friend, but look it up. It's all fact checked. See for yourself. Always do your own research.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem is that we basically
rely too much on everybody else to do it for us instead of anybody.
It used to be everybody wanted American made. That was the thing. The American made trucks, the American made things, and then we found that it's we can do it cheaper for you. Well, now we don't even get the oil out of our own
and then
country.
government got involved and made the environmental rules and regulations so strong that when my dad was racing, his camshafts, I think it was his camshafts, Mallory cams, they made them. He knew the owner, and he told my dad, he said, hey Vic, I'm closing my doors next year. I'm moving my operation to Mexico. And he couldn't afford the new EPA regulations to retrofit his company.
That's our problem with the medical as well as FDA. FDA, we just got the Libre 2 for diabetics. Europe already has Libre 3s. And we just got the Libre 2 approved.
Look at dental. I really need some serious dental work, thanks to the Army Navy, because, my last dental work before I exited the Army was at Fallon Navy Base by a Fallon Navy dentist, and he never took the cavity out. So I need serious dental work. I can't afford it. I have the same health insurance that Congress and Senate have because of my husband, 25 years with the federal government, DOD.
And still can't afford it even
and
with
I
insurance.
Cannot afford it. But if I went to Mexico, I could get it at 1/4 of the cost of this country. So
if I went to Europe, I could get my insulin for a fraction. We are the most expensive insulin anywhere. Germany is the next highest. Their highest for a vial of insulin. Sorry, for 1 month supply of insulin is $76 American. For me, paying for 1 month supply with insurance, I'm still paying over $60. With insurance, that covers over 80%.
Now, is that with the new regulation that Trump put in to reduce the cost?
The problem with that is that
prior to that, you were paying like $300 a month.
Oh, I was paying actually for a 3-month supply without insurance. I was paying $1,900
right
without insurance.
Now, now you got to wonder why there are people dying that have diabetes that are
because everybody says go get the $50 insulin from Walmart, which is actually one of the oldest versions of insulin, which is one of the slowest acting because it takes over 4 hours to actually activate in your system, versus 20 minutes.
Or they're putting water in it,
watering it down, reserving it, rationing it. You have people who are, this is the biggest problem. This is literally the biggest problem, is that people would much rather steal than do what they need to do, and most of it comes from greed.
Yeah,
greed for people who don't have the issues you have.
Well, and I think a big part of that, we're going to finish up because now we had 6 minutes and now we're into 9. But to end this whole thing is, I think when it really comes down to is less government and getting these people out of office. You should not get salary for life. I didn't get that from serving my country for 8 years.
I didn't get it for serving for 12 years.
So, I don't think you should get salary for life. And I don't think it should be a life career. I think it should be service to your community and your country. You do your 2 years, you do 4 years, you're done. It should be the same. You can do 2 terms as a president. I think you should be able to do 2 terms. And what I see more than anything else when it comes to these government is they do these policies and stuff that they want to do, and it's backdoor handshakes on the golf course of what they want. And they spend their entire time in office campaigning for the next election.
That's the biggest problem, is the campaigning. I mean, they spend more time to campaign to try to get people to vote than they actually do anything to change anything. And that's the biggest problem as well. That's why I know only a handful of people my age that actually voted for the election this year.
Well, that's why I'd like to see more people your age getting involved in politics, which is the one benefit of what's been happening is they have started paying more attention to it, but getting involved not as protesters, but as lawmakers. Get involved in the legislation, get involved in your communities, get involved in your county, get involved in your state, get involved in the Senate, get involved in, and do your 1 or 2 terms and get the fuck out of there. Because it shouldn't be a lifetime commitment.
Because the thing is government should change with the people just as much as the people are changing. It's a whole new day and age in this country, in this world. And the problem is we have lawmakers that have been in since the
and that's
50s,
part of the problem.
And they're still living in that time frame, and that is not possible today.
You get these young, aggressive, ready to go people that do run for office. They do have a good platform. They do get elected, and then they get chewed up and spit out by the
because there's only onesie or
old
Tuesdays
people.
and they have no
And they're
allies
like,
whatsoever.
you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Well, if they were all, if the senior, the majority leader,
I think there should be an age cap.
if the majority leader has only been there for 2 years, he doesn't know much more than you do.
Mhm.
So he's not going to chew you up and spit you out quite the same as somebody who's been there for 47 years.
Yeah.
And done nothing.
The city who has a dog is a mayor's. They're doing great. They love their mayor.
Mm-hmm. Where?
I don't remember where it is, but there's a city that has actually reelected a dog as their mayor for its 3rd term. It's a golden retriever. He wears a tie and everything. It's really cute. And they love him. They just put him in the back of a truck bed and they go say hi. And that's literally the mayor of the town is a dog.
No, it's probably a pretty small town.
Well, yeah, but still, the fact that...
Then the rest of the council probably gets together and actually makes shit happen.
Exactly.
Who knows? All right. Well, that's the end of our show. I hope you did watch and paid attention. My hair is now a mess. But my husband decided we were going to do an impromptu, and I still have to go do a paint pour this evening because I have to use up the paint I prepared for this show. And I will be back tomorrow night, and who knows? Maybe we'll have another chat tomorrow night.
2 and 2, 2 and 3.
It might be. What'd you say?
Mute 2 and 3.
Oh, okay. So anyway, we might be back here bullshitting again, but I do have some art to do, and I really hope that people will start going and subscribing to our channel and watching what we're going to do. We might have impromptu ones like this where we all bullshit about what's going on, and I will talk to you all when we come back tomorrow. Have a great night, and I hope you all have a fabulous, fabulous evening. Thank you so much, and good night.